What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Gakis, and today a new weekly reset has just gone live in Destiny 2, and with it come some updates you absolutely need to know about. First of all, we have a change to the Solstice event, and also we have a new patch that went live that nerfs some of the best builds in the entire game. And so, let's get started. Now, first of all, in terms of the changes to the actual Solstice event, well, if you log in, you're going to see this pop-up saying that the warmth of the sun bolsters your guardian spirit with a small bonus to portal activity team scores for the remainder of the Solstice event. It then talks about getting your, triumphs done, and then it says visit Eva Levante in the tower. Well, I can tell you guys, you absolutely don't need to do that. She had literally nothing for me. Now, aside from that, if you're wondering where to get the armor sets shown off in that pop-up image, they are in Eververse, I guess. But in terms of the portal, as you can see right here, when I go into the customization menu, you can see the accelerator score multiplier. So it's giving me 2 green triangles, and it's just going to result in more score. If you're wondering exactly how much extra score you get, at the end of my activity, I actually got another different pop-up, and you can see it right here. The portal score multiplier adds a 5% bonus to your fire team score. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it does actually matter. So as you can see for this Skywatch, I had the 2 beneficial Solstice modifiers, and then I just added some Banes, so I was in the B+ range, and I did my Skywatch solo ops activity, and as you can see, that was enough to put me into an A rating, so I got a tier 5. So you might be able to get away with one less modifier because of this bonus, which should just make things easier, right? Like, it's a nice thing to have for this final week. But moving on from there, let's get into the new patch that again has some pretty significant nerfs. First of all, we have some changes to the portal, and the most important one is that the portal training tiers are now disabled for players upon reaching power 200. And then they also say the modifier reloading in solo and fireteam ops is now possible after reaching 200, even if you don't do the training tiers. Essentially, you had to go back and do like 7 training missions, even if you were massively overleveled, for the game to actually save your modifiers. Otherwise, you'd have to redo them every time. So that's kind of fixed there. Moving on from there, we have some trials changes right here. Then we also have some Crucible ops changes. Importantly, the C+ and B grade thresholds have been lowered for reward rank copper and bronze, so it's going to be an easier time to get rewards. Then we have some other changes to Vanguard. The raid and dungeon one is an interesting one. They say reduced incoming strand grenade damage on Atheon in Vault of Glass, because you could one-shot kill Atheon, the final raid boss of the Vault of Glass, with a grapple melee, guys. Absolutely absurd. But the funny thing is that apparently the combination blow melee for the hunter that was used to get absurd amounts of damage out of grapple turns it into an arc melee, so this nerf doesn't actually do anything to that. But regardless, guys, that is there, I guess, for other builds that might be using it. And here we get to gameplay and investment. So first of all, for exotic armor, specifically for the Titan, the Wishful Ignorance, they've reduced the maximum damage bonus in PvE activities from 200% to 120%. So that is a pretty significant 80% damage nerf. So what you would do is use the Wishful Ignorance with the Flechette Storm aspect, and you could output an insane amount of damage on the Strand Titan. Now, personally, I really didn't like how this build played. Like, you would just do a bajillion damage, and then you'd be forced to go back and use an auto rifle for a bunch of kills. Like, not to mention that apparently for me, every time I would activate Flechette Storm, all of the enemy AIs would dive behind the nearest rock so I couldn't hit them. But man, the damage was there. This thing was nuking raid bosses in like a 5 feet raid, so that is a pretty significant damage nerf there. Moving on from there, guys, for the Warlock, the Verity's Brow and the Spirit of Verity, They were updated to give Strand's grapple melee an additive damage increase instead of a multiplicative one, but they've increased the maximum grapple melee damage bonus from 100% to 170%. So essentially, because it was multiplicative, it was doing some absurd damage. Come to think of it, I think I watched a Warlock one-shot Atheon on Twitter or something, but to compensate for that change, they're upping the damage a bit. So overall, this should still result in a nerf, but still potentially a powerful combo. Moving on from there, for armor mods, they fixed an issue where ammo generation chest mods were not working in the Crucible, and another change there. But for weapons here, for the bows, they fixed an issue where the Fortunate Star had the wrong intrinsic perk of precision when it was intended to have a lightweight intrinsic. So this is actually really interesting. This bow was built to be a lightweight with those animations, visuals, and stat perk combos. Players should see this update in their previously acquired versions of the weapon. So if you didn't want a precision and you wanted a lightweight, you just got a buff essentially. But if you prefer the precision bows, yeah, that's actually not good. And they also fixed it where there was a weird non-enhanced version of Eye of the Storm that couldn't be selected. Then for hand cannons, they fixed an issue where the RES Neutralizer Trials Spreadshot hand cannon had a lower than expected stat package, so it's just gonna be, I think, straight up better. They fixed an issue where the Phonotria Affairs zoom was set to 14 instead of 12, and the hipfire reticle would display when aiming down sights. Then for exotic weapons, guys, Vigilance Wing fixed an issue where the weapon was not correctly improving health recovery when Last Stand was active, now grants plus 100 health stat when the perk is active. Then for the Dead Messenger, they reduced so it can't one-shot. Then for perks, Burning Ambition reduced the scorch stacks applied by primary ammo weapons to already scorched players by 6, unchanged against combatants. So that's a PvP only change. Then for Enhanced 1-2 Punch, they fixed an issue where the text that it was active wasn't displaying. For General, for movement, default player movement, speed, and jump height is now equal to pre 9.0.0 Tier 3 mobility for Titans and Warlocks and Tier 4 mobility for Hunters. That's what they said they were going to do. Then for Kepler, final blows while in Matter Ball now grant special and heavy ammo progress. This is actually big because Matter Ball can absolutely cheese the heck out of mythic difficulty. Like, it's constant blinds and jolts if you have the upgrade for it. So now getting ammo from that is kind of crazy. Then for Solstice, they did a few minor updates there. Then for Titan, Flechette Storm here, guys. So here are the ability changes. Fix an issue where Flechette Storm could be used indefinitely while holding a Solstice Solar Flare Orb, so you can't do that cheese anymore. Then for Hunter, the Tempest Strike. Damage now correctly procs combination blow, so that's a bit of a buff there. Then for Warlock, Handheld Supernova increased damage versus combatants by 20%, so Handheld Supernova buff for PvE. And then for the seasonal artifact, updated the artifact perk Shield Crush to give Strand's grapple melee an additive damage increase instead of a multiplicative one. So again, this is part of the reason that Strand grapple melee is so absurd, is that it's counting both your melee stat and your grenade stat, and it's also was counting for Shield Crush. So you get a melee bonus from the melee half of Shield Crush and the grenade bonus from the grenade part of Shield Crush. So that should, the overall like omega damage should be a bit less. And then we have a few more random changes to like quests and general right here, guys. So overall, we have some pretty impactful changes for a lot of the best builds. Wishful Ignorance Titan definitely got a nerf if you're using grapple melee on Warlock with Spirit of Verity or just the Verities, that got hit. And then if you're using grapple on the Hunter, again, taking away Shield Crush also hit that as well, guys, or at least the Shield Crush double combo. Now, I think a lot of those builds should still overall be very good. It's just their maximum damage was decreased. Guys, That is going to be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus, that is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.